key trends over at least the next few weeks?
Well, we haven't seen too much volatility in the markets over the past year, but it does look like the market's really just focused in on that FOMC minutes tonight, and the talk that tapering will happen in September, and the market's starting to price that in. If we have a look at the Australian share market today, you know, we saw less than $4 billion being traded, so very light volumes going through. So it does look like a lot of people waiting on the sidelines for those FOMC minutes tonight. In terms of the Australian market, though, an extremely credible performance, up by 0.4%. That's despite what's happening around the region, and big stocks like BHP falling 2.2%, Woodside Petroleum down by 1.6%. We still managed to gain. The big four banks were higher. And I guess in terms of earnings season, the key that I'm watching out for is not so much the reports coming out, but more the outlook statements. And the trend the last few years is that when we see this earnings season, that we do see that the current financial year's outlook being downgraded, but we really haven't seen that coming through, and that supports the view that we are seeing the earnings cycle bottoming out, and we're going to start to see positive earnings momentum coming into the market this financial year. So that's a positive sign for the Australian share market, but I think I need a holiday change. Today and tomorrow, the busiest days of earnings season.
I think just about everybody trying to cover this needs a bit of a holiday. Julia, we've just been looking at a chart of Woodside. Look, the big one today, at least, it was certainly BHP yesterday, though our market first opportunity to pass judgment on BHP. But Woodside, what did you make of it? And in particular, the share price performance of Woodside?
I think there were two key things to look out for from Woodside, and that was any news about Browse and then any news about its Israeli assets. Now, we didn't hear too much in terms of the Israeli assets. There was nothing of significance that was really said today. So we're waiting until September for more clarity after the High Court decision. In terms of the Browse project, it does look like the floating LNG project is a path that they're going to look towards. Of course, Woodside Petroleum still needs to get the approval of its partners, so watching for that, and they are aiming for a final investment decision at the end of 2015. So that's the next big project on the cards for Woodside Petroleum. In terms of the actual result, the underlying profit came in at $852 million. Now, that was down 1.5%, and that was below consensus. Consensus for the market stood at $949 million, although we thought it was going to be less than that at $780 million. But altogether, the result below consensus, not a lot of new information coming through, and the shares being sold on.
Go to Julia. Expensive because they've certainly run hard. Do you see much more upside in a lot of these companies?
Well, it's great to see a company like SEEK with both positive price momentum as well as positive earnings momentum. And I guess for the technical analysts, there's been lots of studies done on price momentum, that if we do see prices moving upwards, that generally that's a strategy that outperforms the market. And for fundamental analysts, there's been lots of studies done on also earnings momentum, that's a positive signal that you can use to outperform the market. But if you have both of them combined, both the earnings as well as the price momentum, it's been shown that that's an even stronger signal. And that's where a stock like SEEK comes in, where we've seen price momentum with the stock up 40% over the last 52 weeks, and then you also see earnings momentum, and we've seen the net profit actually more than doubling in this stock. So great to see that momentum. I think looking forward, its international division is going to play a larger part. This is a company that's been making lots and lots of acquisitions, and we've seen the international division actually seeing revenue up by 21%, but that's not including some of the acquisitions that they've made quite recently. So this is an area to watch, especially given here domestically we are expecting to see the employment market softening off for the next few years. So we did see revenue from that traditional employment area down by 5%, but I think the growth here is going to be from the international division and continued momentum in the education division, which saw revenue up by 260%.
Wow. I want to touch on Boral. I think this one takes the prize for the moment in regards to share price performance. We spoke this morning, Julia, at the open, and we saw Boral fall substantially out of the blocks at the open. In the end, it closed up over 2%.
I mean, in this building products space, we've heard from three companies today. We've heard from Boral, Adelaide Brighton, as well as Fletcher Building, and the message coming out of all three of them have been relatively the same. Concerning the Australian market, what we are seeing is soft residential as well as a soft commercial market, and no surprises there. That's the reason why these stocks have been struggling in terms of the earnings picture for a while now. In terms of the price picture, though, the share prices have been doing relatively well over the last 52 weeks, and that's because of the belief that we are seeing a turning in terms of the cyclical cycle here in Australia, and we're going to start seeing a lot more positive momentum coming into areas like residential construction and the non-residential construction, which is commercial. So if you're buying into a stock like Boral or Adelaide Brighton or Fletcher Building, you're really buying in because you think that we're seeing a bottoming in this construction cycle. Now, we haven't really seen signs of it yet. In fact, if we have a look at some of the commentary coming through from Boral today, they're expecting that the current financial year construction earnings will be less than the ones that have been reported, and the building products division, well, things are going to get better there, but they're expecting to see less losses than what was reported. I guess where we are seeing the turnaround at the moment is the US housing market, and that's going to turn into profitability into the second half of the current financial year. But if we do start to see conditions turning in Australia in terms of the residential and the non-residential markets, well, this is going to be a positive for stocks like Boral, for Adelaide Brighton, as well as Fletcher Building.